Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to talk about the brawl at Hazleton Area High School. And this is a high school that is located in Pennsylvania. And so, if you haven't seen the footage that's circulating around social media, it shows it's like a 1 minute clip, and it shows a fight at a high school. And we see kids like gathering around, screaming and yelling. And then, when you look in the right corner of the video, there are multiple security guards, and they're trying to subdue a black girl. And so we see them like slam her on the table. So before they slam her on the table, one of the officers is seen like beating her on her knees, I guess to get her to, I don't know, I guess it's a technique that they've come up with to help subdue people. But after he's like beating her on her kneecaps, I guess she then kind of releases her grip or her tension or whatever, and then they slam her onto the table. And then one of the security guards like holds her head down on the table, and then he starts patting her ponytail or something. But it's just total chaos. There are kids trying to get to the student to aid her. There are, looks like a school official, maybe the principal or assistant principal, who's trying to hold the kids back. So that's the main video that's been circulating around the school. So when I first saw this, it was actually the day of the event, of the fight that took place. And of course, people were outraged as they were seeing this video. But anyway, so as she's talking about this story and how outraged and basically let's make this video go viral. There are people commenting on the video, and then there was another video posted from a different angle, and then somebody else sent her a different video that shows kind of like where everything starts at. So before I really get into the meat and show you guys the videos from the fight, I did a little research because I don't like to get caught up in the social media windstorm where we see like these 30-second clips, or we see these sensational headlines, and then we form an opinion and get all outraged, and then come to find out that there was more to the story than what we knew about. And so I did a little research, because one of the comments that somebody had made on her Twitter page was that this school has a serious violent history of student fights, and that students are just out of control, and that the reason these guards were brought in to and given permission to use such force on the students is because of other fights that have taken place in the past. And so I did a little research, came across this news story that I'm going to play for you guys that was from October of 2016. And the newscasters basically start off with another fight at Hazleton Area High School. And so it was like another violent brawl going on where more kids were involved. And they were saying that it was the fourth such fight in recent times. And so that the school had decided that they were going to beef up security. So go ahead and watch this video.
Large fight involving students from the Hazleton Area School District, and once again this was caught on camera and posted on social media.
And police investigators say this fight was especially brutal, and tonight they vow to stop these brawls. Lead I-Team reporter Andy Mahalchik joins us now live in the control center. Andy, what can the police really do here?
Well, that's a good question. I'm told police are already taking steps to stop these fights, but they're not saying exactly how they'll go about it. They did issue a stern warning today to all students. If you're involved in these fights, you will be arrested and kicked out of school.
This video was sent to Eyewitness News after it was posted on social media. It shows more than 50 young people fighting. Someone is on the ground. That unseen person is being punched and kicked.
I just think it's horrible that that kind of thing is glorified in this day and age.
Some people in the crowd appear to be carrying weapons. Police believe that this fight took place Tuesday near the Hazleton Middle School on 9th Street.
I thought that, like, people are raised with values nowadays.
They're going to be arrested. Chief Ed Harry heads up the school district police force. He is working with police departments from the Hazleton area to get a handle on these fights.
When these videos come out, we will identify everyone we can on the videos and get that information to the police department that's handling the investigation.
Harry says students face expulsion from school if they're identified in these videos. This was the fourth big fight involving students in the school district in the past year. And some folks say somehow, some way, this violence has to be stopped.
I don't know what they should do. You got cops in a school district now. You have the state police patrolling down there. You're going to need the National Guard before too long.
I spoke with Hazleton Police Chief Jerry Spezialy. He says his department is also taking steps to stop these fights, also declined to give specifics about what officers will be doing. Reporting the Control Center, Andy Mahal, Eyewitness News.
How frustrating, Andy. Thank you. Now, Hazleton area school district officials did tell us they will bring police officers into classrooms to speak with students about the consequences of fights like these, and those meetings will begin soon.
So now let's move up to the current day. And so there was another video that was dropped into Baby Doll's Twitter feed that showed another fight that happened recently. And then here's that video. And so here's the video from the actual fight that happened on February 5th. And I'll follow it up with my commentary and my thoughts on the level of force that's used against kids these days. Why can't kids just go to school and do what kids are supposed to do in school? And then what I think is the remedy to the problem. So before I get into this video, I will be the first person to acknowledge that I have had my share of fights.
You got some resources for it.
Okay, a user who goes by the handle I am Dej Milan posted the video along with the caption, "This is Hazleton Area High School. Twitter, do your thing." The officers then aggressively grabbed her ponytail and held her down. As classmates tried to rush to her aid, the girl attempts to stand up, but the officer and a man in a red shirt twisted her arms behind her back. When a faculty member intervened, the girl gained her footing and stood up. Meanwhile, classmates jumped on tables and benches to corner authorities to demand answers about the use of excessive force by multiple officers against one black girl. The victim was escorted out of the school. While no one at the school was escorted out of the cafeteria. While no one at the school has made an official statement, students took to social media to share updates and their experience with faculty afterwards. "Look how the cops' whole demeanor changed when they all stood together," wrote one viewer, referencing how the aggression in the video visibly dissipated once the victim's classmates collectively stepped in. The fact that he said there was no further action being taken out on the security officers, but an ongoing investigation against the students, completely defended their actions, slamming her head down, pulling her hair, etc. "This school is trash. The people that work here are racist," another student posted. And yet another classmate recalled a conversation that she allegedly had with the head of security on campus, stating, "Head of security at the high school, Chief Edward Henry, told me that if I saw the entire video, I would understand. I told him there was nothing he could show me that would justify the extent of force used against this woman." So I do think it's a good thing that the kids came together. Like if they saw, one of their fellow classmates in harm, then yeah, you should stand up and be boisterous. But then at the same time, we don't want students putting themselves in jeopardy. And especially, like, I don't know if these guys are armed or not, but I know here they have armed police officers in school. So I don't want to see a precedence being set where, in a situation like this, where somebody that has a firearm or a nightclub or a taser is being confronted by students and then are forced to use one of these methods to quell the situation. It just seems like there has to be a better way of managing these type of situations, and and then parents need to get involved and explain to your kids that you cannot be out in public acting this way. So it's sort of like a catch-22. We want students to stand up for their classmates when their classmates are being wrong or being harmed, but then on the other hand, we don't want them to be in a situation where they themselves can be harmed when officials are trying to de-escalate a situation. So then in a separate article, it says, "What the 20-second video circulating on social media since Monday afternoon doesn't show is an argument that the girls started and 3 fights that ensued as students became more riled up," school officials said. "There's always 2 sides to a story. There's extenuating circumstances leading up to what we saw on social media. Please get both sides of the story before making judgment or calling judgment out on any individuals or the district," Superintendent Brian Uplinger said. By dismissal time Tuesday afternoon, more than 60,000 had watched the video on social media, and some viewers advocated firing a school policeman shown in the clip. Harry Edwards, school security director. So they've gone from Harry Edward to Harry Henry. So I don't know if the man's name is Harry or Henry, but one of those variations. School security director said his officers followed procedures, whereas he is asking the Luzerne County District Attorney's Office to file charges against the girl and other students shown in the complete video. You see a couple seconds. If you want to take that out of context, if you're not seeing the whole thing unfold, yeah, you might look at that and think something was done wrong here, said Harry, making a comparison with videos from an incident between Kentucky students and a Native American man at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. on January 18th, you need to look at the whole story. Now, I don't know what the situation at the Lincoln Memorial has to do with this particular incident, but anyway, for some reason that comparison was made in this article, and this is probably a conservative writer that's talking who probably has his own racist views. And so Uplinger said the public won't see the entire video because the district solicitor advised against releasing it to protect the privacy of students. Although Uplinger said he will talk with students and parents about it, the girl's mother has watched it. Harry, who studied the full video, said the girl started an argument and stood on a table in front of a vice principal who told her to stop. She wasn't having it, said Harry, while describing the girl pushing away workers and friends who tried to hold her back. Two of the girl's friends went after the other girl in the argument. Then guards restrained students in 3 parts of the cafeteria at once. It just escalated, Harry said. This was getting out of control, spiraling out of control very quickly, and we need to gain control. There are 700 kids in the cafeteria. So the cafeteria has been the scene this year of several fights which injured 4 security workers and sent 1 teacher to a hospital, said Harry, adding that no one was hurt on Monday. The building plan that the school board is considering would enlarge the cafeteria further. Uplinger and Harry, however, said the new portion of the cafeteria would be within a wing for 9th graders, and separating 9th graders might reduce tensions in the main cafeteria. To reduce tensions on Monday, a security worker wearing a red shirt led away one of the girls in the argument, and you can actually see that in one of the videos that I showed. She had on like a black and white striped sweater, and somebody was leading her out. Meanwhile, 3 security workers subdued the girl who started the argument. So they were in a corner. A worker wearing a red shirt held the girl's right side while another worker in a red shirt held her from behind. A school police officer wearing a blue uniform was on the girl's left. The officer swung his fist twice at the girl's head until she let go of the table in front of her. As the men with the red shirts bent her face down toward the table, the officer pushed her head down, pulled back his hand, and then grabbed her hair to hold her on the table. The exchange took about 4 seconds. When that happened, that got her attention, Harry said. You can see when she stopped, the officer stopped. That's exactly the way it's supposed to go. Harry says some students are out of control and start fights in the presence of police and faculty, but he pointed out that other students were just trying to eat lunch while ignoring the fight on Monday. If you don't want to get involved in the nonsense at school, you won't, he said. So then in the 3rd article, 2 teens were arrested in their Pennsylvania high school cafeteria. They only saw just a small portion of what went on. They didn't see anything about what led up to it and the entire altercation in the cafeteria. I'm going to refer to it as a melee, Chief Harry told Scranton news station WYOU. At that point, the officers had to get that under control immediately. You can see from the snippet of video, there were hundreds of kids in the cafeteria. They were all cheering her on, yelling and screaming. They needed to de-escalate that. The girls reportedly began arguing in the school cafeteria before getting violent. It's important to know there are always 2 sides to every story, and it's really important for parents and students and community members to get both sides of these stories before going to social media, Uplinger told WYOU. Harry added that 4 students would be expelled from school and might face criminal charges. According to the Associated Press, police recently took extra precautions in the Hazleton area school district. On January 24th, a 14-year-old student was arrested for allegedly making a gun threat toward Hazleton lower schools on Snapchat. Police went to the student's home and found a loaded handgun on a nightstand licensed to the student's uncle. So guys, what do you think is the answer? Kids have been fighting since the beginning of time, but it seems like nowadays it is getting far, far, far worse than what it used to be. And, it's sort of like a danger now, and especially when you got these security guards and you have police on campus. These people got guns. They're trained, to subdue these kids. These kids can get hurt. And so my thing is, when is it too far? When is it too much? And at what point, nobody wants their child to have their head slammed down on the table. Nobody wants their child to be handcuffed. Nobody wants their child to be taken to jail. But at what point do these kids take accountability for their actions? And we're not talking about kids in elementary school or middle school. These are high school students who should know better, who are old enough to know better, who attend a school where the people have said, we are tired of this and we're going to take more extreme measures to deal with the level of violence. And then not only that, what about the kids who go to school to learn? They actually want to be in the learning environment. They actually want to learn something. And now they're having their education disrupted because people can't control their emotions. People are fighting. People are jumping on each other. The police got to be involved. And so I think there's enough blame to go around on both sides, both the administration side, whoever these security guards, that firm is, but also at some point kids have got to take responsibility, because you're at an age where you're 15, 16 years old. In a couple of years, you're going out into the real world. Are you going to be on your job fighting and carrying on like this? And I could go on and on and on and on and on. We definitely don't want our kids, any kids, whether they're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it doesn't matter. Kids are kids. We don't want kids to be manhandled, to be abused, to be treated inhumanely while they're at school or anywhere else by people that are in authority. But we also don't want kids going to school acting a fool and creating these chaotic situations. So what is the answer? You guys let me know in the comment. Rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and let's just get some serious dialogue going as to what can be done to better deal with these situations. Do you think the young girl should be arrested? Do you think she should be expelled from school? I know here, if something like that happened, the student would definitely be expelled and then sent to these secondary schools that we have that basically treats them like criminals. Like they have special buses that they wear. They can't have like belts, and I don't think they can have backpacks. There are police officers sometimes on the school buses. There are police officers at the school that greet the kids when they get off the bus. And it's just like a zero tolerance. And then they have to go to these schools for like a year. And then their behavior is reassessed. And then they're reassigned to different schools. They're not allowed to go back to the school that they were kicked out of. So let me know, what do you think? And let's talk about it. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.